The brotherhood and breathtaking aerial stunts in Top Gun once felt like the ultimate dream for every young man during the summer of 1986. But behind the cameras was a real-life nightmare filled with secrets of sexual abuse and the suffocating control of a cult so extreme that one actor abandoned his own child for 13 years. What really happened to these legendary pilots after the movie ended? Val Kilmer as Tom "Iceman" Kazansky. When audiences think of Iceman, they immediately picture a cold, disciplined rival whose flawless flying skills made him the perfect contrast to Maverick. Born on December 31, 1959, in Los Angeles, California, Val Kilmer joined the film at just 26 years old, bringing a sharp charisma that instantly turned him into a teen idol. But the fame that came from this iconic role also quietly marked the beginning of a long and painful series of personal tragedies. His career slowly began to unravel as his strong ego and notoriously difficult personality caused more and more directors to distance themselves from him, pushing his once promising career into a frustrating decline. The heartbreak continued when his marriage to actress Joanne Whalley collapsed in 1996, leading to exhausting custody battles and financial disputes that drained him emotionally and financially. Then he faced the devastating blow in 2015. The throat cancer took away his voice and forced him into years of silence following major surgeries that damaged his ability to speak naturally. However, Val's transformation became a powerful symbol of resilience in the face of relentless hardship. Even while physically weakened and forced to communicate through assistive devices, he still returned for Top Gun, Maverick, delivering emotional final scenes through his expressions and AI-assisted voice technology. Behind the scenes, however, he continued battling severe lung complications that made both eating and breathing painfully difficult every single day. On April 1, 2025, Val Kilmer passed away in Los Angeles at the age of 65 due to complications from pneumonia after a decade-long battle with cancer. He died knowing that audiences had finally rediscovered their love and admiration for him, leaving behind an estimated fortune of $25 million and an unforgettable cinematic legacy. Tom Cruise as Pete Maverick Mitchell. If Iceman was a block of ice, then Maverick was the reckless pilot with the cocky grin and fearless flying style that completely dominated movie screens in 1986. Born on July 3, 1962, in Syracuse, New York, Tom Cruise joined the cast at just 24 years old and poured all of his energy into the role, turning Maverick into a massive cultural icon. The film became the ultimate launchpad that pushed him into the ranks of Hollywood's biggest A-list stars. But behind that glory was a life filled with emotional emptiness and personal struggles that never truly disappeared. The pain began with a troubled childhood and an abusive father, leaving deep psychological scars that fueled Tom's constant need to control everything around him. That extreme need for control, combined with the enormous influence of Scientology, eventually contributed to the highly publicized collapse of his marriages to Mimi Rogers, Nicole Kidman, and Katie Holmes. The tragedy of his personal life went far beyond divorce, ultimately leading to years of emotional distance from his daughter Suri and a fractured father-daughter relationship that remained painfully cold for a very long time. Away from the endless relationship scandals, recent years have shown a Tom Cruise who seems to pour all of his loneliness into increasingly dangerous work on movie sets. In 2026, he shocked the world again by pushing forward with ambitious space filming projects reportedly costing around $200 million, willingly risking hhis life in an attempt to fill the emptiness in his personal life. He also famously performed a terrifying motorcycle jump off a 1,200-meter cliff and completed more than 500 skydives just to capture the perfect scene for blockbusters like Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, and Top Gun, Maverick. In 2026, at 64 years old, Tom continues moving non-stop between international film sets while spending much of his private life in luxury apartments in London. Despite an enormous fortune estimated at around $650 million, The one thing he still seems to lack is a true sense of home, remaining a full-blown adrenaline addict with no signs of slowing down. Anthony Edwards as Nick Goose Bradshaw. Almost everyone once wished they had a best friend like Goose, with his bright smile and warm personality that brought life and comfort into the cold atmosphere of a military cockpit. Born on July 19, 1962, in California, Anthony Edwards joined the film at just 23 years old and immediately turned Goose into the emotional heart of the movie. The character's death became one of the most shocking moments in 1980s cinema and helped launch Anthony's career into an entirely new and successful chapter. However, behind the calm image and massive success of his role as Dr. Mark Green on ER, Anthony Edwards carried deep psychological scars from childhood. In 2017, he shocked the public when he revealed that he had been sexually abused for years by producer Gary Goddard, an experience that haunted him and crushed his spirit for decades. His personal life also went through a quiet period of heartbreak when his 20-year marriage to Jeanine Lobel officially ended in 2015, leaving emotional wounds that were difficult to heal after they had built a family together with 4 children. Anthony's transformation in recent years has become a surprisingly warm and inspiring story of healing, as he finally chose to confront the darkness of his past and rebuild his happiness. He surprised many people when he quietly married his longtime friend, Mare Winningham, in 2021. That relationship seemed to give him renewed motivation, leading to appearances in major projects such as Inventing Anna and Tales of the Walking Dead. As of 2026, at 63 years old, Anthony Edwards is enjoying a peaceful life in New York with his wife while continuing to work on independent films and television productions. With an estimated net worth of around $40 million, he now spends much of his time and resources supporting organizations that protect children from abuse, turning his personal pain into meaningful work that continues to inspire others. Kelly McGillis as Charlotte Charlie Blackwood. While the male pilots brought explosive action and raw masculinity to the screen, Charlie was the perfect blend of sharp intelligence and irresistible charm that left even Maverick speechless the moment they met. Born on July 9, 1957, in Newport Beach, California, Kelly McGillis joined the film at 29 years old, carrying herself with the confidence and authority of a powerful civilian instructor. The role instantly transformed her into one of Hollywood's most sought-after leading actresses during that era. But behind that glamorous image was a woman deeply scarred by a brutal sexual assault that took place inside her own home in 1982, leaving her trapped in fear and emotional trauma for years. The pain eventually pushed Kelly into struggles with alcoholism and a series of failed marriages to Boyd Blacker and Fred Tillman before she bravely came out as gay in 2009. Her life became a long and painful fight against Hollywood's obsession with appearance and the harsh judgment surrounding sexuality and identity in the entertainment industry. The transformation in Kelly McGillis's life in recent years has carried a tragic undertone after she was excluded from the sequel simply because she had grown older and no longer fit Hollywood's standards of beauty and physical appearance. She accepted that reality with a calm but bitter honesty, exposing the harsh cruelty of the entertainment industry. Instead of desperately trying to hold on to fame through cosmetic surgery, Kelly chose to step away from the spotlight and live a much quieter life. As of 2026, at 68 years old, Kelly McGillis is living a very private life in North Carolina and rarely takes part in the entertainment industry anymore. With an estimated net worth of around $7 million, she now spends her time teaching acting and volunteering at rehabilitation centers, replacing the glamorous image of Charlie with the quiet simplicity of a woman who has survived every storm life threw at her. Tom Skerritt as Mike Viper Metcalf. Viper stood like a towering figure of authority on the aircraft carrier deck, a commanding officer filled with wisdom and carrying secrets about Maverick's father that no one else knew. Born on August 25, 1933, in Detroit, Michigan, Tom Skerritt took on the role at 52 years old, bringing real-life experience from his service in the United States Air Force into every scene. The strength and dignity he gave to Viper helped cement Tom Skerritt's reputation as one of the true veteran actors of American cinema. Surprisingly, Tom Skerritt's personal life turned out to be far more complicated than many people expected. He went through 2 failed marriages with Charlotte Shanks and Kay Sloop before finally finding lasting peace with his third wife, Julie Tokashiki, whom he married in 1998. Balancing a demanding acting career with family responsibilities over several decades also became one of the longest and most exhausting challenges of his life. In recent years, the most remarkable thing about Tom Skerritt has been his incredible energy and sharp mind despite being well into his 90s. Rather than retiring completely, he has remained active in community projects and even founded organizations supporting young filmmakers in the Seattle area, where he now lives. His career legacy also remains strong thanks to achievements like his Emmy-winning work on Picket Fences and a series of memorable guest roles that continued to showcase his presence on screen. In 2026, at 92 years old, Tom Skerritt remains a living legend in Seattle, still remarkably sharp and frequently appearing at local film festivals. With an estimated fortune of around $8 million, he chooses not to live extravagantly, instead focusing on teaching filmmaking and enjoying a peaceful life with his wife and children. Even as the oldest healthy surviving member of the 1986 cast, Viper still carries the spirit of the veteran pilot he once portrayed on screen. James Tolkan as Tom Stinger, Jardian Stinger, was the tough commanding officer with piercing eyes and a razor-sharp voice, always stepping in to discipline the oversized egos of the young pilots through strict military authority. Born on June 20, 1931, in Calumet, Michigan, James Tolkan took on the role at 54 years old, bringing an intimidating presence that instantly commanded respect whenever he appeared on screen. But ironically, the role also typecast him into playing harsh and intimidating authority figures for much of his career. Completely opposite from his stern on-screen image, James Tolkan's personal life became one of the rare success stories in Hollywood romance. He enjoyed a lasting marriage of more than 50 years with his wife Parmalee Tolkan after marrying in 1971, building a life centered around art, music, and family rather than the constant intensity audiences associated with Stinger. During the later years of his life, James Tolkan chose to step away from the chaos of Los Angeles and enjoy a peaceful life in the suburbs of New York, maintaining a healthy lifestyle and an impressively sharp mind. Although he stopped taking on new acting projects after 2021, he still regularly connected with fans through anniversary events celebrating the classic films that made him unforgettable. On March 26, 2026, James Tolkan officially passed away at his home at the age of 94 from natural causes. He died surrounded by the love of his devoted wife and left behind an estimated fortune of around $5 million. Along with a legacy of tough, intimidating roles that became unforgettable memories for generations of movie fans. Meg Ryan as Carol Bradshaw. Even with limited screen time, Carol Bradshaw still melted audiences' hearts with her sweet personality and the warm energy of a loving wife and mother. Born on November 19, 1961, in Fairfield, Connecticut, Meg Ryan joined the film at 24 years old and immediately caught the attention of directors thanks to her natural charm and innocent acting style. The role became the first stepping stone toward her image as America's sweetheart, eventually turning her into the queen of romantic comedies. However, the perfect image of her career shattered in 2000 when her highly publicized affair scandal with Russell Crowe exploded while she was still married to actor Dennis Quaid. The fallout completely destroyed her wholesome public image and pushed Meg Ryan into a brutal media storm that made her the target of criticism for years. The tragedy deepened when she turned to cosmetic surgery in an attempt to preserve her youthful appearance, only to face disappointing results that dramatically changed her face and quietly ended many of her remaining opportunities in Hollywood. Meg Ryan's transformation in recent years has been a quiet attempt to rediscover herself after nearly 2 decades spent under constant criticism about her appearance. She gradually stepped away from the spotlight to focus on directing and repairing her relationships with her children, trying to escape the pressure and emotional burden of her former fame. At the same time, she successfully built a wealthy and stable life through smart real estate investments. As of 2026, at 64 years old, Meg Ryan is living a quiet life in New York and dedicating herself to independent film projects she personally produces. With an estimated net worth of around $85 million, she no longer feels the need to chase the spotlight and instead chooses to enjoy a life free from the pressure of pleasing public expectations. Michael Ironside as Rick Jester Heatherly. Jester embodied the cold discipline and hard-earned experience of a military instructor who never showed mercy when it came to crushing the arrogance of young pilots. Born on February 12, 1950, in Toronto, Canada, Michael Ironside took on the role at 36 years old. The performance became the perfect calling card that later led him to countless iconic roles as commanders and villains in major Hollywood films. But Michael's real life turned out to be a far more brutal battle for survival than any action movie he ever appeared in, as he faced what felt like a death sentence after battling cancer not once, but twice. His brutally honest personality often put him at odds with powerful producers because he openly rejected shallow scripts, willingly sacrificing fame in order to protect his artistic integrity. Years of fighting thyroid cancer and skin cancer shaped him into an incredibly resilient man, but the painful treatments also left physical and emotional scars that never fully disappeared. In recent years, Michael Ironside's transformation has reflected a man who has quietly accepted the limits of time with remarkable peace. Instead of endlessly chasing film roles, he became far more selective with independent projects, and spent much of his time sharing life lessons with younger actors, viewing his survival and recovery as the greatest achievement of his life. As of 2026, at 76 years old, Michael Ironside continues to enjoy stable health after defeating cancer and now lives peacefully in Los Angeles. With an estimated net worth of around $6 million, he still occasionally provides voice work for video games and takes on meaningful guest roles simply to satisfy his enduring passion for acting. John Stockwell, as Bill Cougar Cortell Cougar, was the talented pilot who ultimately gave up his wings after suffering a devastating psychological breakdown in the middle of the open ocean skies. Born on March 25, 1961 in Galveston, Texas, John Stockwell joined the film at 25 years old and left a lasting impression on audiences through his portrayal of a man emotionally shattered by the fear of death. Ironically, the role also became the moment John realized that his true passion was not acting in front of the camera, but controlling the creative vision behind it. His decision to walk away from acting and become a director was an extremely risky turning point that brought heavy financial and emotional pressure, especially with the responsibility of leading entire film productions. He faced considerable skepticism from critics and industry insiders while directing movies such as Blue Crush and Into the Blue. Over time, John chose to live an intensely private life, distancing himself from the scandals and chaos of Hollywood in order to focus entirely on filmmaking behind the scenes. In recent years, John Stockwell's transformation has reflected the life of a wandering artist, as he spends much of his time traveling across remote oceans and coastlines searching for inspiration for documentary-style projects. Although his directing career never produced massive box-office blockbusters, it gave him something far more meaningful: freedom and creative control that acting never could. Long journeys and constant exposure to the raw power of nature helped him let go of the emotional pressures he carried from his younger years, allowing him to build a calmer and more grounded outlook on life and the film industry. In 2026, at 65 years old, John Stockwell is living a peaceful life while continuing to direct low-budget action films in locations around the world. With an estimated fortune of around $5 million, he has chosen a simple lifestyle centered around his love for surfing and independent filmmaking. Rick Rossovich, as Ron Slider Kerner Slider, always stood out with his muscular build and the cocky attitude of a man ready to challenge every limit, whether on the beach or in the sky. Born on August 28, 1957, in Palo Alto, California, Rick Rossovich joined the cast at 28 years old. The role helped establish him as one of Hollywood's most promising action stars at the time. But unlike the glamorous image of a rising superstar, Rick Rossovich experienced the disappointment of watching his career stall before ever reaching true A-list status, despite years of hard work in projects such as ER. That frustration eventually pushed him to make a bold decision, leaving Hollywood behind and moving to Sweden for many years in search of genuine peace and a better life for his family. There, he found what he considered his greatest treasure: a stable marriage lasting more than 4 decades with his wife, Eva Rossovich, which gave him the strength and balance he had long been missing. After returning to the United States, Rick no longer cared about chasing major Hollywood roles. Instead, he chose a slower and quieter lifestyle focused on family, personal happiness, and smaller acting projects that kept his passion alive without the pressure of fame. By stepping away from the obsession with celebrity status, he finally found the peace of mind that had once seemed impossible during his younger years. As of 2026, at 68 years old, Rick Rossovich is enjoying a calm life in California with an estimated fortune of around $4 million earned throughout his acting career. He rarely appears at flashy red carpet events anymore, preferring to spend his time with his children and enjoying simple personal hobbies. Barry Tubb, as Leonard Wolfman, stood out because of his wild personality and slightly eccentric energy among the young pilots, bringing lighter and more entertaining moments to the film between the intense aerial combat scenes. Born on February 13, 1963, in Snyder, Texas, Barry Tubb joined the movie at only 23 years old and quickly used the exposure to land roles in respected productions, such as Lonesome Dove. However, Barry's life later took a dramatic turn because of a legal battle connected to the very franchise that made him famous. In 2024, he shocked the entertainment industry by filing a lawsuit against Paramount Pictures, accusing the studio of using his likeness in the 2022 sequel without permission or compensation. The lawsuit exposed growing tensions over image rights and also revealed the bitterness many supporting actors feel when they believe they have been discarded by billion-dollar franchises after helping build their success. The legal battle dragged Barry into a stressful and exhausting fight that drew major media attention. Barry Tubb's transformation in recent years reflects a man determined to protect his personal rights against the pressure of massive entertainment corporations. He gradually stepped away from large commercial productions and began focusing more on independent films with personal artistic value. Years of legal conflict and the changing realities of the film industry made him far more outspoken, and he no longer hesitated to speak publicly about the unfair treatment many veteran actors face in the digital age. In 2026, at 63 years old, Barry Tubb continues directing small independent projects while still pursuing legal matters connected to the copyright lawsuit. With an estimated net worth of around $2 million, his life is far from luxurious, but it allows him to continue supporting the independent artistic work he loves in his home state of Texas. Tim Robbins as Samuel Merlin Wells. Even though he only played the young pilot Merlin with a face that still carried a touch of youthful uncertainty, few people could have predicted that Tim Robbins would eventually build the most acclaimed career among the film's supporting cast. Born on October 16, 1958, in West Covina, California, Tim joined the project at 28 years old. The relatively small role ultimately became a stepping stone that launched him toward becoming one of the most respected actors in modern film history. However, Tim Robbins' outspoken political beliefs often made him a controversial figure within Hollywood, especially among more conservative studios that reportedly distanced themselves from him because of his willingness to speak openly about sensitive social and political issues. His personal life also suffered a massive emotional shock when his 23-year relationship with actress Susan Sarandon, once considered one of Hollywood's strongest and most loyal couples, unexpectedly ended in 2009. The breakup stunned fans around the world and pushed Tim into a quieter and more reflective chapter of his life. However, Tim Robbins's transformation in recent years has reflected the spirit of an artist devoted to serving the community through theater and independent filmmaking. He gradually stepped away from the chaos of major awards and Hollywood politics to focus on leading his theater company, The Actors Gang, where he uses art as a tool to fight for social justice and human rights. Despite possessing enormous wealth, Tim chose a modest and low-profile lifestyle rather than one built around luxury and public attention. As of 2026, at 67 years old, Tim Robbins remains a highly influential figure in Hollywood, with an estimated net worth of around $70 million. He continues appearing in acclaimed television projects such as Silo, while spending much of his time in New York directing thought-provoking stage productions and occasionally taking on deeply reflective film roles. So, that's what happened to the unforgettable cast of Top Gun, 1986, then and now. Some became Hollywood legends, while others faced heartbreaking losses, personal struggles, and surprising life changes over the years. Which Top Gun star changed the most for you? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more then and now stories.